everyone, I'm Miss Mary Beth. I'm the Youth Services Librarian at Ingalls Memorial Library in Ringe, and I'm here today for Armchair Adventures. And right now the book we're reading is The Voyages of Dr. Dolittle. And this was written by Hugh Lofting. And we just started it, and we're up to the part. So far we have a boy named Tom Stubbins, who's 9, and in his town lives a man called Dr. Dolittle. And Dr. Dolittle, he finally met Dr. Dolittle, and he found out that Dr. Dolittle has a lot of animals. So many animals. A zoo, even. And he can talk to the animals. So that's pretty amazing. And our little boy, Tommy, really likes Dr. Dolittle. He hangs out with him every day. He goes to his house all the time. He helps out a lot. And he eats meals with Dr. Dolittle. His parents, I think it's okay, because they know that Dr. Dolittle's pretty cool, and they know that Tommy's learning a lot. And he's learning to speak to some of the animals too, so that's pretty awesome. So, we're working on that, and we're up to chapter 12, which is called My Great Idea. Oh, he had just gone into the doctor's office, his study, to try and talk to him, because apparently Tommy has a great idea. Presently, the doctor looked up and saw us at the door. "Oh, come in, Stubbins," he said. "Do you wish to speak to me? Come in and take a chair." "Doctor," I said, "I want to be a naturalist, like you, when I grow up." "Oh, you do you?" murmured the doctor. "Humph. Well, dear me, you don't say. Well, have you, spoken to your mother and father about it?" "No, not yet," I said. I want you to speak to them for me. You would do it better. I want to be your helper. Your assistant, if you'll have me. Last night my mother was saying that she didn't consider it right for me to come here so often for meals. And I've been thinking about it a good deal since. Couldn't we make some arrangement? Couldn't I work for my meals and sleep here?" "But, my dear Stubbins," said the doctor, "you are quite welcome to come here for 3 meals a day all the year round. I'm only too glad to have you. Besides, you do a lot of work as it is. I've often felt that I ought to pay you for what you do. But what arrangement was it that you thought of?" "Well, I thought," I said, "that perhaps you would come to see my mother and tell them that if they let me live here with you and work hard, that you will teach me to read and write. You see, my mother is awfully anxious to have me learn reading and writing. And besides, I couldn't be a proper naturalist without it, could I?" "Oh, I don't know so much about that," said the doctor. "It is nice, I admit, to be able to read and write. But naturalists are not all alike, you know. For example, this fellow Charles Darwin that people are talking about so much, he's a Cambridge graduate. He reads and writes very well. And then Cuvier, he used to be a tutor. But listen, the greatest naturalist of them all doesn't even know how to write his name, nor how to read ABC. "Who is he?" I asked. "He is a very mysterious person," said the doctor. "A very mysterious person. His name is Long Arrow, the son of Golden Arrow. He is an Indian." "Have you ever seen him?" I asked. "No," said the doctor. "I've never seen him. No man has ever met him. He lives with his tribe. I fancy Mr. Darwin doesn't even know that he exists. He lives almost entirely with the animals and with the different tribes of natives, usually somewhere among the mountains of Peru. And they're in England, right? So that's pretty far. He never stays long in one place. He goes from tribe to tribe." "Well, how do you know so much about him?" I asked, "if you've never seen him?" "The purple bird of paradise," said the doctor. "She told me all about him. She says he is a perfectly marvelous naturalist. I got her to take a message to him for me last time she was here. You know, I'm expecting her back any day now. I can hardly wait to see whatever answer she has brought from him. It is already almost the last week of August. I do hope nothing has happened to her on the way." "But why do animals and birds come to you when they are sick?" I asked. "Why don't they go to him if he's so very wonderful?" "Well, it seems that my methods are more up-to-date," said the doctor. "But from what the purple bird of paradise tells me, Long Arrow's knowledge of natural history must be positively tremendous. His specialty is botany, plants, and all that sort of thing. But he knows a lot about birds and animals, too. He's very good with bees and beetles. But now tell me, Stubbins, are you really quite sure that you really want to be a naturalist?" "Yes," I said. "My mind is made up." Well, it isn't a very good profession for making money. Not at all, it isn't. Most of the good naturalists don't make any money whatsoever. All they do is spend money, buying butterfly nets and cases for bird eggs and things. It is only now, after I've been a naturalist for many years, that I am beginning to make a little money from the books that I write. I don't care about money, I said. I want to be a naturalist. Won't you please come and have dinner with my mother and father next Thursday? I told them I was going to ask you. And you can talk to them about it. You see, there's one other thing. If I'm living with you and sort of belong to your house and business, I shall be able to come with you on next time you go on a voyage. Oh, I see, said the doctor, smiling. So you want to come on a voyage with me, do you? Aha! I want to go on all your voyages with you, I said. It would be much easier for you if you had someone to carry the butterfly net and the notebooks, wouldn't it? For a long time the doctor sat thinking, drumming on the desk with his fingers, while I waited, terribly impatiently, to see what he was going to say. At last he shrugged his shoulders and he stood up. Well, Stubbins, said he, I'll come and talk it over with you and your parents next Thursday. And, well, we'll see. We'll see. Give your mother and father my compliments and thank them for the invitation, will you? Then I tore like the wind home to tell my mother that the doctor had promised to come. And that is the end of chapter 12. So chapter 13 is called A Traveler Arrives. The next day I was sitting on the wall of the doctor's garden after tea, talking to Dab Dab. I had now learned so much from Polynesia that I could talk to most birds and some animals without a great deal of difficulty. I found Dab Dab a very nice old motherly bird, though not nearly so clever and interesting as Polynesia. She had been housekeeper for the doctor for many years now. Well, as I was saying, the old duck and I were sitting on the flat top of the garden wall that evening, looking down into the Oxenthorpe Road below. We were watching some sheep being driven to market in Puddleby, and Dab Dab had just been telling me about the doctor's adventures in Africa, for she had gone on a voyage with him to that country long ago. Suddenly I heard a curious distant noise down the road, towards the town. It sounded like a lot of people cheering. I stood up on the wall to see if I could make out what was coming. Presently, there appeared round a bend a great deal of school children, following a very ragged, curious-looking woman. What in the world can that be? Cried Dab Dab. The children were all laughing and shouting, and certainly the woman they were following was most extraordinary. She had very long arms and the most stooping shoulders I had ever seen. She wore a straw hat on the side of her head with poppies on it, and her skirt was so long for her that it dragged on the ground like a ball gown's train. I could not see anything of her face because the wide hat was pulled over her eyes. But as she got nearer to us, the laughing of the children grew louder. I noticed that her hands were very dark in color and hairy, like a witch's. Then all of a sudden Dab Dab, at my side, startled me by crying out in a loud voice, "Why, it's Chee-Chee! Chee-Chee, come back at last! How dare those children tease him! I'll give the little imp something to laugh at!" She flew right off down the wall into the road and made straight for the children, squawking away in a most terrifying passion and pecking at their feet and legs. The children made off down the street back to the town as hard as they could run. The strange-looking figure in the straw hat stood gazing after them for a moment and then came warily up to the gate. It didn't bother to undo the latch, but just climbed right over the gate as though it was something in the way. And then I noticed that it took hold of the bars with its feet, so that it really had 4 limbs to climb with. But it was only when I at last got a glimpse of the face under the hat that I could be really sure that it was a monkey. Chee-Chee, for it was he, frowned at me suspiciously from the top of the gate, as though he thought I was going to laugh at him like the other boys and girls. Then he dropped into the garden on the inside and immediately started taking off his clothes. He tore the straw hat in two and threw it down into the road. Then he took off his bodice and skirt, jumped on them savagely, and began kicking them round the front garden. Presently I heard a screech from the house, and out flew Polynesia, followed by the doctor and Jip. "Chee-Chee! Chee-Chee!" shouted the parrot. "You've come at last! I always told the doctor you'd find a way. However did you do it?" They all gathered round him, shaking him by his hands, laughing and asking him a million questions at once. Then they all started back for the house. "Run up to my bedroom, Stubbins," said the doctor, turning to me. "You'll find a bag of peanuts in the small left-hand drawer of the bureau. I've always kept them there in case he might come back unexpectedly someday. And wait a minute. See if Dab Dab has any bananas in the pantry. Chi-Chi hasn't had a banana he tells me, in 2 months. When I came down again to the kitchen, I found everybody listening attentively to the monkey, who was telling the story of his journey from Africa. That's the end of chapter 13. What a mysterious visitor. Tomorrow we'll listen to more of Chi-Chi's voyage. And tomorrow's going to be our last Armchair Adventures. When the library's open, you can come and check out this book yourself, and you can finish the whole story. You don't have to listen to me reading it. You can read it faster. But thanks for joining me on Armchair Adventures today. Because this is part of the summer reading program, you can get a raffle ticket for listening. So listen for the code word. The code word for today is monkey. Did you get it? Are you going to add it to your READSquared account? Good job. Thanks for reading Armchair Adventures with me. Join me tomorrow for our very last one. Have a fun day.